हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, यमुना तीरावनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, यमुना तीरावनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, text number 26. Sattvam chasya vinirbinnam mahandhishnyamupavishat chittenamshena yenasau Vijnanam pratipadyate. Sattvam chasya vinirbinnam mahandhishnyamupavishat chittenamshena yenasau Vijnanam pratipadyate. Sattvam chasya vinirbinnam mahandhishnyamupavishat chittenamshena yenasau Vijnanam pratipadyate. What is? Word meaning? Sattvam, consciousness. Cha, also. Asya, of the gigantic form. Vinirbhinnam, being separately manifested. Mahan, the total energy. Mahatattva. Dhishnyam, with control. Upavishat, entered into. Chittena amshena, along with his part of consciousness. Yena, by which. Asau, the living entity. Vijnanam, specific knowledge. Pratipadyate, cultivates. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, when his consciousness separately manifested itself, the total energy, Mahatattva, entered with his conscious part. Thus, the living entity is able to conceive specific knowledge. This doesn't have a purport, so we'll read 2 more verses. Shirshnosya dyaurdharapabhyam khamnabher upapadyata gunanam vrittayo yeshu pratiyante suradayah. Thereafter, from the head of the gigantic form, the heavenly planets were manifested. And from his legs, the earthly planets, and from his abdomen, the sky separately manifested themselves. Within them, the demigods and others also were manifested in terms of the modes of material nature. Atyantikena satvena divam deva prapedire dharam rajasvabhavena panayo ye chatananu. The demigods, qualified with the super excellent quality of the mode of goodness, are situated in the heavenly planets, whereas the human beings, because of their nature in the mode of passion, live on the earth in company with their subordinates. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita 14.14 and 15, it is said that those who are highly developed in the mode of goodness are promoted to the higher heavenly planetary system. And those who are overpowered by the mode of passion are situated in the middle planetary systems, the earth and similar planets. But those who are surcharged with the mode of ignorance are degraded to the lower planetary systems or to the animal kingdom. The demigods are highly developed in the mode of goodness, and thus they are situated in the heavenly planets. Below human beings are the animals, although some of them mingle with human society. Cows, horses, dogs, etc. are habituated to living under the protection of human beings. The word Atyantikena is very significant in this verse. By development of the mode of goodness of material nature, one can become situated in the heavenly planets. But by the excessive development of the modes of passion and ignorance, the human being indulges in killing the animals who are meant to be protected by mankind. Persons who indulge in unnecessary animal killing, have excessively developed in the mode of passion and ignorance, and have no hope of advancing to the mode of goodness. They are destined to be degraded to lower statuses of life. The planetary systems are calculated as upper and lower in terms of the classes of living entities who live there. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you for this Sunday feast class. We are discussing from the third canto, chapter 6. Maitreya Rishi is describing the process of universal creation. How different elements are formed. Initially how Mahavishnu enters into the Mahat Tattva, and then various elements are formed. And how the Devatas are formed in charge of various elemental powers. Because Vidur had asked this question in the beginning. He wanted to know the pastimes of the Lord in various incarnations. So Maitreya Rishi begins from the Srishti Leela, creation pastime. Instead of directly jumping to Krishna's more confidential pastimes, he begins with the Srishti Leela. And gradually he is going to develop the story where he will describe in the later cantos. In the fourth canto, we'll talk about Dhruva, Daksha, and everywhere the Lord appears. In Daksha Yagya, the Lord appeared. For Dhruva, he appeared as Prishnigarbha, and then Rishabdev. So gradually he is going to introduce the later avatars. But he begins with creation. So Prabhupada used to call Bhagavatam as the postgraduate study of philosophy. The graduate study being the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada called the Bhagavad Gita as the ABCD, preliminary subject of spiritual life, of philosophy. But the Bhagavatam, he said, is advanced. In the Gita, Krishna talks about his supremacy, position, but in the Bhagavatam you find the confidential pastimes, how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees, and how he acts in various capacities, how he establishes dharma, protects his devotees. So therefore, the subject of the Bhagavatam is considered to be more confidential. And the Bhagavatam is dealing with more confidential aspects of religion. Now when we say religion, the word religion connotes many meanings. For most people, especially in today's times, religion means something they have inherited from their family members, from their parents or from their ancestors. And they don't really bother much about what are the details of religion. Something we have received, some faith, some practices, some gods, some culture, and we are happy. We are happy with that. Don't tell us to get into it more. Because for us, many other things are important. Career and money and family and prestige. Religion is a sidey topic. And that's how majority of the people are. For some, religion can be a matter of identity. Especially when they have to compare with their neighbors. My neighbor doesn't mean simply your next door neighbor. Next neighbor can also mean your neighboring country. Especially our neighbors. We have some neighbors. For such people, religion is their identity. And hatred towards other religion becomes their fundamental right. They're born, their existence is based on their religion. And in this way, they practice religion according to their terms. But for some other people, for them religion means more noble goals. Religion is a way of life to practice ethics and morality, and it helps in maintaining stability, psychological stability. So that way people have their understanding of religion. So overall, religion can mean philosophy, your outlook towards life, or it can mean, for some even it means biological anthropology, like how you classify living beings. Even in the Bhagavatam you find different species of life described. Even Darwin's theory of evolution is considered a religion for many people because it gives you an outlook towards life. It has governed religious way of thought. For some religion can mean the mystical people who display their mystic abilities. That is also one important aspect of religion. What kind of miracles your saints have shown, that defines religion in some cases. For some it could be just morals and ethics, how you conduct yourself in society. Because he is following a certain religion, you are following these principles. There is also the aspect of cosmological design in religion. The Bhagavatam also describes cosmology. And for many people, it's the description of theology. How that religion describes God and divinity. So in this way, religion has many aspects. A growing trend in today's times is people who say, I am spiritual but not religious. They call it SBNR, spiritual but not religious. Some people also call it as SBNA, spiritual but not affiliated to any institution. Because they have such a bad experience of getting affiliated to some institution. So they say, कुछ लेना देना नहीं कोई organization के साथ. We are spiritual, but don't bind us with the boundaries of institutionalized religion. So SBNR is a growing species in today's times. And it is said that 1 in 5 people call themselves SBNR. Especially in the West, but in India also it is seen nowadays. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about transcendental religion. SBTR we can call. Srimad Bhagavatam's transcendental religion. And the Bhagavatam itself describes what it is. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahaitukiya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation of all humanity is that by which one can develop unmotivated and uninterrupted love towards the Supreme Lord. Such love should be uninterrupted. Ahaituki and apratihata. Then that is called parodharma, transcendental religion, which is far different from the ordinary mundane religion we find in today's times. And towards the end of the Bhagavatam we find Suta Goswami describing Srimad Bhagavatam as a Puranam Amalam, Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam, Yasmin Paramahamsyamekam Amalam Gyanam Param Giyate, Tatra Gyana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyam Avishkritam, Tachrunvan Supathan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchyen Naraha. This is the last section where Bhagavatam Mahatmya is described. The glories of hearing the Bhagavatam and studying the Bhagavatam. It is said it is Amalam Puranam, spotless Purana. Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam, very dear to Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Vishnu. Tat Shrunvan, one should therefore hear about it, hear the Bhagavatam, Supathan, one should study it scrutinizingly, Vicharana Parva, and reflect upon it, Bhaktya, with devotion. Then the humanity will be delivered. Vimuchen Naraha. So this is the knowledge, information given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not found in anywhere else. All cheating religious systems kicked out in the beginning itself. Dharma projitagaita votra parama. So therefore one should definitely read the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavat Mahatmya describes the journey of Bhakti Devi in this age, in this Kali Yuga. Although Bhakti Devi is eternal, but still it manifests. The story of its manifestation is described in the Bhagavatam. So they say Bhakti Devi was born in South India in this age of Kali. She was born in South India. When? During the time of the Alvars. Sri Vaishnavas have 12 Alvars. Kulashekar Alvar, Nam Alvar, all these Alvars there. They were born through a period of few centuries. But that period is described when Bhakti Devi took birth in this age of Kali. And with that birth, Bhakti Devi started growing through her infancy, through her youth, adult. So then Bhakti Devi moves from south, she goes north, she reaches the area of Karnataka, where she gains youthhood, through the appearance of Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya. With their appearance, with their teachings, with their preaching, Bhakti Devi is firmly established within the subcontinent. Then she moves upwards towards the western part of India. Interestingly, here it says Bhakti Devi grew weak. Why? Couple of reasons. One reason they say is the appearance of speculative philosophies. People who were preaching about Bhakti Devi, Bhakti, devotional science, they were also adding certain speculative theories. Like Bhakti, but with an impersonal goal. God, the divinity is described as impersonal, nirguna, without any qualities, and without any attributes. This weakened Bhakti Devi. Some other people say Bhakti Devi grew weak because the opulence, material opulence found in the western part of India. Like Maharashtra, Gujarat, kind of more opulent than the rest of India. So wealth distracts you. So then Bhakti Devi grew weak. Then Bhakti grows forward towards north. She finally reaches Vrindavan. That's where Bhakti regains her health. So our Acharya explained that's the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis. With their appearance, with their preaching, Bhakti Devi nourished herself again. And she became very strong. But there was one problem. Bhakti Devi has 2 sons. Who are they? Jnana and Vairagya. Knowledge and detachment. These 2 grew weak. Although mother is strong, the 2 young sons are weak. So something has to be done to revive them. So it is said some sages, saints came, Narad Muni comes and he starts reciting the Vedic mantras, Upanishads, Rigveda mantra and other mantras. But still, these 2 sons are very weak. So what to do? Then the 4 Kumaras come. They advise the solution. Recite the Srimad Bhagavatam. With the recitation of the Bhagavatam, they will regain their youth. and strength. And then they start reciting the Bhagavatam. And as expected, immediately, these two sons, Jnana and Vairagya, became very strong. Further, the Mahatmya says how Bhakti Devi eventually goes beyond the boundaries of India. From Vrindavan, it goes to Haridwar and then crosses the boundaries. Videsham gamyate. Idam sthanam parityajya videsham gamyate maya. It crosses the boundaries and goes to the foreign countries. So that's the prediction of our own Acharya, especially Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. How he took the message of the Bhagavatam, first canto published in 3 volumes, a trunk load of books, crossed through the Jaladuta and finally reached the western shores and shared the message of the Bhagavatam everywhere. Although his guru had ordered him to preach in the English language, but still, Prabhupada felt beyond English, there are so many other languages. And then the Bhagavatam was translated into all the languages, Western and Indian. Now the Bhagavatam is available in dozens of languages, especially the major ones, unless there are some minor dialects which are not available. That may also happen. So in this way, the Bhagavatam, by the recitation of the Bhagavatam, the two sons of Bhakti Devi were rejuvenated. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahaitukam. So wherever there is genuine devotion, automatically there has to be Jnana and Vairagya. Knowledge about the Absolute and genuine detachment from material things. That's what we sometimes find as abnormality. People who claim to be religious, extremely religious, are also addicted to the most abominable sense gratification. They will do all worship and rituals and go to all temples, but then they are addicted to material enjoyment. Therefore, these people who SBNR people, who say we are spiritual but not religious, they compare, they look at these people saying, what is the use of your practice of religion if you behave the same way as people who don't believe in religion? Better we don't practice, we don't want this brand of religion. We believe in spiritual principles, but not the rituals that you prescribe. In this way, a philosophical degeneration happens, especially in this age, Kali Yuga. If you look at earlier ages, people were far more religious, spiritual. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu describes the degeneration of philosophy. Initially, there is theism. Theism means belief in divinity, belief in God, personal or non-personal. So theism means there is a creator and the creator is a controller. God. God is the creator, God is the controller. And there were many scientists in earlier ages who subscribed to this theory. There is a God, and the scientists like Newton and all, they tried to prove with their discoveries that ultimately there is a design. God is a designer. And all these natural phenomena is pointing towards some divinity, some creator. And the world is also maintained by the same God. This is called theism. Gradually, with the effect of time and Kali, it degenerated into deism. What is that? Not theism, deism. There is a God. God is a creator, but God is not the controller. He created and he lost control. Or he gave up the control. He has no control over it, whatever he created. Just like, for example, there is a watch or a phone. The creator has created, the manufacturer has created it. Once it's sold out, the manufacturer doesn't have any control over it. Kharab ho gaya, you can't blame the manufacturer. Right? So similarly, God has created and He left it with the conditioned living entities to maintain and manage. If there is any problem here in this world, God is not responsible. So some credit given to God, at least He has the good intelligence to create create the world. But then, poor guy, he doesn't have control over it. Then it degenerated further to atheism, which means there is no creator, there is no controller. Even the credit that the deists had given to God, that is also taken away. God didn't create the world and there is no controller over the universe. How did creation happen? The Big Bang theory and the evolution theory and I don't know what all theories are there still existing. There was a scientist, mathematician, Laplace. Heard of him? Laplace transforms. When he presented the theory, Laplace presented the theory, he showed his thesis to the king, Napoleon Bonaparte, French king. He went and presented his thesis. So Napoleon went through it and read it and he asked, there is no mention of God here. He said, I don't find the need to present that thesis. I can present my thesis without God. So why should I present? So that could be the beginning of atheistic science. Gradually then other Mahajans came up. Other scientists came and then they expanded on the theory, evolved the theory, fine-tuned the theory. And then we have latest Stephen Hawking, Richard Dawkins and all. So in this way, philosophy degenerates. But our scripture, Bhagavatam says, like the section that we are reading now, 3rd canto, Maitreya Rishi's description saying there is Mahavishnu glancing over the matter and impregnating matter with unlimited living entities. And the universes are born. God as a creator. Mahavishnu is creating the universes. And then Mahavishnu enters into each and every universe, every anda, as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And then the universal form appears out of that. And then Brahma is born. Then further later he enters into each and every atom, into each and every heart of every living entity as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So at every stage we find God not only creating initially and then giving up everything. At every stage he is entering into more and more inner forms, subtler forms to continue further creation and maintain it. Not like this scientists who say God has no control, there is no creator, no controller. At every stage the Bhagavatam says God is present, Krishna is present, maintaining every atom, every particle from microscopic level to macro level to cosmic level. Even the devatas are generated, beginning with Brahma and every other species generated, either directly from Krishna or through Brahma. So why? Why does this creation happen? Why such a complicated system of universe? Why do you need so many millions of universes emanating from the pores of Mahavishnu, and then every universe, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Each and every universe has millions of planets, stars and planets. Why? What is the need? Need for this elaborate creation, which is ultimately going to get destroyed. And most people have this complaint that if God has created this world, why there is evil? If God is all good, all compassionate, all powerful, why there is evil in this world. Which the question haunts many people. Because they don't get satisfactory answers, people eventually become atheists. Because there is no clue for the mystery of creation. No satisfactory answer for this mystery. So it is said the purpose of the creation is twofold. One is experimentation. Experimentation of the living entities here. The living entity has this desire to enjoy matter. They want to enjoy and they need a playground to enjoy. And they want to experiment how it feels to enjoy matter. Manashasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. With the mind and the senses, this combination of mind and senses in the material body, the living entity comes to this world, exploits material resources, tries to enjoy it, only to get frustrated. If the living entity gets frustrated by its experimentation, the first purpose is fulfilled. First purpose of creating the universe is fulfilled. If the living entity continues to maintain hope that I can continue to enjoy, the purpose is yet to be fulfilled. Earlier we get frustrated with material enjoyment independent of God. The purpose of the universe is fulfilled. So if any one of you is frustrated in life, we have good reason to be happy. We are in the right direction. Right direction. Like the first chapter of the Gita says, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna is frustrated because he feels, in spite of having all facilities that I have position, power, influence, everything Arjuna had. Right? But still he feels, what is the purpose of fighting this war? Kim no rajyena govinda kim bhogair jivitena va yesham arthe kangshitam no rajyam bhoga sukhani cha. He's telling Krishna, what is the use of winning an unrivaled kingdom? Kim no rajyena govinda kim bhogair jiv. What is the purpose of getting all the opulences and wealth? I don't see any reason to fight for this. Therefore, he went into Vishad. Vishad means sadness, depression, dejection. But in that sadness, that depression became the cause of his enlightenment. Otherwise, why would the first chapter be named as Vishada Yoga? Yoga means a connection, right? Connection with divinity. If this information is not useful for developing a connection with divinity, Krishna, why call it yoga? Like S.B. Keshav Maharaj says a nice statement. Without material breakthrough, without material breakdown, one cannot get spiritual breakthrough. So Arjuna had to go through material breakdown, which led to his spiritual breakthrough. So similarly, this purpose of creation is to frustrate the living entity who is trying to enjoy material resources. Once the living entity is frustrated, then the second purpose gets into action, which is reformation of the living entity. Just like Arjuna, who was frustrated, he turned to Krishna. Karpanya dosho bhatas svabhava prichamit. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam. I become now your surrendered disciple. Please enlighten me. Just like Arjuna turned to Krishna for enlightenment in his state of depression, similarly, if we also turn to Krishna, or through scripture, or through Krishna's representative, and seek out enlightenment, then the purpose of the creation is fulfilled. So therefore, we have all these scriptures detailing all these various philosophies, teachings of Maitreya to Vidura, Narad Muni to Yudhishthir, Krishna to Uddhava, Shukadeva to Parikshit, Suta Goswami to Shaunakadi. So many conversations of various enlightened living entities speaking philosophy to candidates in various states. At least we can identify one of them. If not Vidura, if not Parikshit, maybe Yudhishthir, maybe Prahlad, maybe Narada, maybe Dhruva. At least one character will be there which will match with our thought process. And then that teachings will inspire us. Some way we have to get connected. Or Arjuna's case, we can get identify with Arjuna or Dhruva. So therefore, this creation Leela is described in the Bhagavatam. So in this section, it is describing how the Devatas were created. Various sense elements of the creation were described. Then the Devatas were described. So it's like and the Tanmatras, how every sense organ has its corresponding element. Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adhyatma. So the 5 sense organs, Gyanendriyas, each has a corresponding Tanmatra element. Sound, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These 5 elements are there, corresponding to the 5 senses. And for each element, there is a Devata, a controller. It's all a part of the universal form. So when the creation is happening, before everything sets into motion, all these things have to be described, created. Just like when we create a machine, let us say a computer. A computer is a machine that is supposed to help human beings to do certain tasks. But then you need to design how will the user give inputs to the machine, how will the machine give output to the user. There has to be interaction. So there are certain input systems. There is the keyboard and the mouse and the USB and so many other network, multiple ways of giving inputs to the machine. And how the machine will give output, which the user can understand. Similarly, when the creation is happening, the living entities are going to acquire material bodies. How will the living entity trapped in this material body interact with the universe? The body is there, machine is there, but the system has to be designed. So then 5 senses. There could be 10 senses, there could be 25 senses. But somehow Brahma decided there would be 5 senses. 5 senses are enough to experience forms, sounds, smell, taste, and touch. These are the 5 inputs of the material living entities interacting with the universe. And there is a central processing unit called the mind. Mind processes all sensations and becomes the interface. And for all these elements, for every living entity has these 5, set of 5. And there is a controller of all these. Surya controls the sense of sight. Ashwini Kumaras control the sense of sound, smell. And then wind controls the sense of touch. Varuna controls the sense of tongue. So in this way, 5 senses have their elements and their devatas associated with each. That's the description happening here. So ultimately it's being done under the monitoring of Vishnu. In the Gita you find this nice verse. Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvam idam protam sutre manigana eva. Krishna says the entire universe is operating like pearls strung on a thread. Dhage pe, there are so many manis. Sutre manigana eva. The funny thing about this chain is we get to see only the pearls. not the underlying thread. So therefore, but the people who can perceive the thread, they are said to be intelligent. Krishna later describes Chaturveda bhajante mam, the 4 kinds of people who surrender. They are the ones who can actually perceive the thread. They understand this grand universe is being run by some intelligent person. So just like if last time I was giving the description of a machine. Imagine there is someone playing carom. There is a carom board and the coins. And someone is hitting the coin with a striker. The one coin falls into the hole. How did the coin fall into the hole? If I have to describe, then how will I say? The striker hit the coin at a certain angle with a certain force, and it went in that direction and it fell into the hole. In some cases, the coin may not reach the hole if the force is less. Or if the force is too much, it may rebound and not fall into the hole. If the angle is different, it may go somewhere else. Right? So multiple probabilities. But if everything is matching, the angle and the speed and the friction of the board, if everything is proper, then the coin will fall into the hole. So if I explain the coin fell into the hole because the force was perfect, the friction was perfect, the angle of hitting was perfect, therefore the coin fell into the hole. Is that answer correct? Correct? It is correct, but not complete. What is missing? The skill of the person hitting the coin. Right? The user, the player has a sense of understanding how to hit the coin and with what force. Now, he may not have a mathematical calculation of with what force he's hitting, but he has got a sense. Just like when you taste nice food. Why the food is tasty? Because all the masalas are perfect, the cooking was perfect, the rice was perfectly boiled, the sabji was perfectly cooked, the salt was perfect. Is that complete? Is that correct? That's correct, but not complete. The skill of the cook is not taken into consideration. Similarly, when the scientists describe the universe, they will describe all the universal laws. Oh, the gravity and the astronomical forces and the wind movement and the sun's movement, the heat and the temperature and the pressure. Everything taken into consideration. And that's what we have studied in school, in science textbooks. Structure of the universe, and the movements of the planets, and the climatic changes, and the weather changes. They describe everything. Why the apple fell from the tree. What would they say? Because there is force of gravity. And what is force of gravity? That attracts the apple down. Apple fell down due to gravity. Gravity is what pulls the... So where is the explanation? It's a description of what is happening. Similarly, why the planets are rotating or revolving around the sun, why the sun is moving. What we study is the description of things happening in cause and effect form. But when we ask for an explanation, why this is happening, why the coin fell into the hole, it's not the friction and the force in the direction, it's the user hitting the coin. That's the why. Why the coin fell into the hole? Because the user hit the coin. The player hit the coin. Why the universe is behaving the way it is behaving? Not the laws of the universe. There is a force. Sutre maniganaiva. Mayi sarvam idam parotam sutre maniganaiva. There is an underlying thread which is invisible to most people. Like material scientific discoveries how the discoveries happen? They will observe certain phenomena, like apple falling from the tree, like Newton saw the apple. He observed phenomena, material phenomena, and he gave a theory, the theory of gravitation. Right? So from visible phenomena, you come up with a theory, invisible theory. Similarly, Krishna is saying, you observe the phenomena of the universe, understand that there is an invisible thread underlying everything. Gama, in the 15th chapter you find, Gama Vishyaja Bhutani Dharayami Aham Ojasa Pushnami Chaushadhi Sarva Somo Bhutva Rasatmaka. Gama Vishyaja Bhutani, I enter into the planets and hold them in universal space. I am the one holding planets in their orbits. Not only holding, they are moving in their orbits. I am the cause. There is no ambiguity in this statement of Krishna. I am the cause of universal motion of all the planets. What more evidence do we need to prove God exists? Right? Krishna is giving a clear statement and people are wondering for centuries, is there a God? What could be a bigger joke than this? Matta parataram nanit, Krishna says. Mai sarvam idam protam. I permeate every creation. So in this way, Krishna describes. Krishna already gives that statement which the Bhagavatam elaborates. Krishna says, I hold the planets. The Bhagavatam says how the planets were created, various species of life was created, and how later Devatas come and then they maintain. And then the destruction happens towards the end of the creation. Lord Shiva comes into action. Brahmaji creates, Vishnu maintains, Shiva destroys. So therefore, when we study these sections of the Gita and the Bhagavatam, we get some fundamental clues which can address all our problems. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, you find the 5 topics, 5 principal topics. Prabhupada explained the introduction. What are those? Ishvara, Prakriti, Jeev, Kal and Karma. These 5 topics can address some fundamental problems of our life. Like, what are the main turning points in our life? When we live a life of say 50, 60, 70 years, we all go through certain turning points, some major changes in life. What are the main disruptors in life? Usually we have, when we take some decisions in life, say about career, about job, those decisions can be turning point, either in negative or positive way, right? Decisions can alter the course of life. What else? Some fortune, someone wins a lottery, someone gets an inheritance, ancestral property you get, or you lose fortune. That can be a turning point. What else? Death can be a turning point. Someone close, my family member or friend, passing away. That suddenly, although we know death is a constant feature of this world, still, when someone very closely connected to us passes away, we are shaken. And it can change the course of life. Relationships can change the course of life. Some good relation, marriage can change the course of life. Breakups can change the course of life. Getting into a relationship, breaking up a relationship can cause changes. And certain doubts, philosophical doubts can, like people come into associate with a religious organization, spiritual organization, but then fundamental doubts continue haunting them. And then they are unable to answer the mystery. All these 5 topics are addressed by these 5 topics. Death. This topic is addressed by Kal. Kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravruddho. Krishna says, I am mrityu sarvaharaschaham. Krishna says, I am death in the form of time. How do you make decisions? If we know the theory of karma, how every action is a reaction, good or bad, then we can wisely make decisions. Because we know whatever action I am going to take, whatever decision I am going to make, it will have a consequence. So I will try to ensure that my decisions are aligned in a dharmic way. So if we know the theory of karma, we can, to a great extent, make wise decisions aligned to the principles of dharma. Fortunes can change our course of life. But if we understand Prakriti, the three modes of material nature, Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, Tamo Guna, how these modes interact with each other. Rajas tamascha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. Krishna says these modes are constantly interacting and fighting with each other, struggling to gain dominance. This is how Prakriti functions. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Everywhere Prakriti in the three modes are acting. Our interests, our decisions, our likes and dislikes, our family, our food habits, our occupation, our career, all these are influenced by the three modes, which is a characteristic of Prakriti. So if we understand Prakriti, nature, then we can turn our fortunes. Krishna constantly encourages, make choices in Sattva Guna, choice in the mode of goodness. Because in goodness, we can, there is a greater chance to rise to spiritual and transcendence. And in the purport, Prabhupada here says, the word Atyantika, by the mode of goodness, material nature can become situated in the heavenly, one can get situated in the heavenly planets, like the Devatas. By excessive development of the modes of passion and ignorance, human beings indulge in killing of animals, and then they get degraded to lower planets. Or they enter into hellish regions, or they become animals in their next life. These are all the laws of nature. Prabhupada has written a book, The Laws of Nature. You see that picture? A human being with a cow's head, cutting the head of a cow with a human head. Prakriti's laws. The infallible justice, laws of nature. And doubts. If we have serious doubts, and if we understand the theory of Atma, Jiva, then existential doubts can be answered. And the whole teaching of Gita begins with the description of Atma. Arjuna had some fundamental doubts about life. Krishna doesn't address them directly, beginning itself. He begins with understand how you are different from matter. How the Atma is distinct from matter. Separate the material from the spirit. Matter from spirit. When Prabhupada went to MIT in Boston, the US, MIT, prestigious university, like IIT. Of course, they don't consider IIT to be of their level. But MIT, he gave a talk to the students there, and he asked the students and professors there, you have developed such a systematic institution to study such advanced sciences. Where is the department that studies matter from spirit? That distinguishes matter from spirit. Where is the department? That's what Krishna is teaching Arjuna in the Gita. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati maruta, na jayate mriyate va, avinashitu tadvidhi. All these various statements describing how matter and spirit are different. Spirit is not born by a combination of matter, not born of a combination of atoms and molecules, like the modern theory says. Initially there was a unicellular organization like amoeba, which gradually developed into other multicellular organisms. It all began with some chemical combination at some ideal atmospheric pressure and temperature conditions. Life began in the universe in the form of unicellular amoeba. And then, as environmental conditions became more and more favorable, it evolved into higher life forms. And over a period of millions of years, you see Homo sapiens here, moving around. All began with amoeba, the great amoeba. Amoeba is our original ancestor. But Bhagavatam says our ancestor is Brahma. The four-headed, most intelligent human being, Brahma, is Bhagavatam's version. And these people make us believe amoeba is our ancestor. So, and relationships. Relationship problems can be addressed if we understand our fundamental relationship with God. Mama evamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Every living entity, Krishna says, is my part and parcel. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtayas sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. I am the seed giving father. Several places it says, Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha. I am the father, mata, mother, pitamaha, grandfather. All relationships covered. Same person is Pita, Mata and Pitamaha. So if we understand and revive this relationship with Krishna, then it takes care of all other relationships. When we forget or misunderstand this relationship, Suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. Krishna assures us, if we understand that Krishna is the best well-wisher, friend of all living entities, shantim richati, one attains supreme peace. So in this way, if we understand these fundamental clues, fundamental principles that our Shastras explain, then we can easily address the fundamental problems of life. That doesn't mean there won't be any problems, but at least our life won't be clouded in mystery. All the problems are there. It's like a doctor treating a patient. The patient feels half the problem is solved when the doctor diagnoses the problem properly. And it's only a matter of time how the medicines will work and how much time he has to spend in the hospital and then get discharged. But if imagine the patient knows the doctor doesn't know the problem. The doctor is making all these tests and blood tests and CT scan, MRI and all he's doing, but the doctor still has not diagnosed the problem. And the patient comes to know the doctor is still unsure about the problem. Then his problem can become serious. His problem condition become more worse. So, the moment the doctor diagnoses the problem, the patient gets a sense of relief. पहचान तो लिया problem को, अभी दवाई खाना है. Similarly, when we study the Gita, these principles of the Gita and the Bhagavatam, the principle of creation, why Krishna appears, this is like identifying the basic problem. And then you apply the principles, practice the principles in life, then gradually things get revealed and then we can address the problems in the best possible manner. Later, Prabhupada talks about hellish life, how people who cultivate the mode of passion and ignorance, they degrade into animal life or they get demoted to hell. And those who develop sattva gun, urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. Krishna says, urdhvam gachanti sattvastha. Sattvastha means people are situated in the mode of goodness. Urdhvam gachanti. they go towards higher planets, like Swarga, or even higher. Madhye tishthandi rajasa. People who are rajasic, they are situated madhye. And jaganya guna vrittistha. Those who are situated in jaganya guna. Jaganya means very abominable habits. Is guno mein vrittistha. Those who are situated adho gachanti tamasa. They go down. So that's how the universe is designed. Maitreya is describing that section, how the universe has levels of residences. Even when you construct a building here, right? The higher floors are usually occupied by elite people. The owner maybe to top 3 floors they take, and no, they're costlier, more expensive, the higher floors. And lower floors are relatively cheaper in a building. Or if you see city like Bombay, there are certain sections where elite people stay, certain slums where poorer sections of the society will stay. Even in the regular, any place you find is demarcation, variation. Maitreya says even the universal level, there is a classification. Higher regions of the universe are occupied by people who are more refined in their thoughts, refined in their habits, more divine in their outlook. Those who are more devotional in their approach, more loyal to Lord Vishnu's laws, those who are more dharmic in their nature. Higher sections of the universe are occupied by these people. And middle section? People who are like not very, very good, not very bad. Moderate in their approach. They are good, but not so good. They are bad, but not so bad. Somewhere in between. They are, to some extent, influenced by goodness, mode of goodness, but there is some element of passion, some element of tamas also. So these people, they are not so eligible to occupy the higher regions. Somewhere a little lower. Those are people like us. Earthly beings. People who stay in the Bhumandala area. Bhumandala has 7 dvipas, 9 varshas in Jambu Dvipa. All those divisions are given in the 5th canto. So these are human beings, mainly. And some animals who can live under the protection of humans. Cows and dogs, Prabhupada says in the purport. And then there is a lower section of the universe. People who have cultivated Jaganya Guna Vrittistha. People who have cultivated abominable habits, violence and addictions, sinful life, those who have led a life of sin, all kinds of bad habits. They are definitely not qualified to go up, not even qualified to stay with us. They are sent to the lower regions of the universe, where nice descriptions are given. The Bhagavatam. What kind of activities happen there? What is the treatment there meted out to these people? And what kind of... Even there you find sense gratification, but a gross level sense gratification. People who they are tortured in various ways. Even in other scriptures like Bible, you find some descriptions of hell. How hell is a place of extreme torture, punishment, and misery. And even the Bhagavatam we find, the Rig Veda describes some descriptions of hell. Mahabharata, Yudhishthir Maharaj, it seems, went to hell for some reason. Not because he was going to stay there, but for some purpose he went there. And he saw the horrible conditions of hell. And then he came back. Then in the Ramayana, Ravan goes to hell. And there also some description of hell is given. How people are tortured in various ways. The Puranas also describe hell. The Bhagavatam describes 28 types of hell. And in each hell, a specific punishment is given for a specific sin. So in this way, hell descriptions are given. There is a physical reality of hell and heaven. Heaven descriptions, Nandana Kanana gardens and the various apsaras dancing and entertaining people there, all kinds of beverages available to drink there and enjoy life. Somaras, beautiful descriptions of heaven. Even within earth, the Bhumandal area, there is a description of heavenly Bhumandal, Bhuswarga. There is Swarga, there is Bhuswarga, there is Bilaswarga. Subterranean heavenly regions. Swarga, there is a heavenly life even in all three. Some portions. So all these descriptions are given. And oftentimes we people think it's a metaphor, may not be reality. Where do you find hell? Oh, hell is simply to scare people from committing sin. If you describe hell in this way, then people will be afraid and they won't commit sin. They will lead a nice, ethical, moral, dharmic life. So इसके लिए थोड़ा hell नरक के बारे में describe किया करो. Actually, there is no hell. कहाँ पे hell? किसने देखा है hell? As if we believe everything only after seeing. So, but the Bhagavatam says there is hell. The Puranas say hell. Even the other scriptures say hell. So beyond the physical reality of hell, actual hell within the universe, there is also the mentality of hell. Hellish mentality, we say. Naraki buddhi is the word used. Those who consider a deity to be like a stone, those who consider guru to be an ordinary person, those who consider Vaishnavas belonging to a certain sectarian caste, this buddhi is said to be Naraki, hellish mentality. So even on a consciousness level, there can be hell, but there is also a physical reality called hell. And people who live either a very good life, they get promoted to heaven, and those who lead a sinful life, they get demoted to hell. And they spend certain time there, and after that, they again come back. After going through hellish punishment, they either come to earth, where they take up animal bodies, and then they may live in the company of human beings. And gradually they go through all those lower animal forms, 8,400,000. Finally, 84 lakh योनियों से गुजरने के बाद, they will come to human species. Again, they get a chance to decide where to go. Heaven, hell, out of the world. 3 options, 3 gates open up. So in this way, Parikshit asked this question. The description in the Bhagavatam about hell and heaven come because Parikshit's question. Parikshit is saying, what is the duty of a human being at the time of death? So in the 5th canto, Shukadeva Goswami describes various hellish regions. And he asks the question, how can one be delivered from these hellish miseries? And then he gives the answer. By chanting, constant chanting of the holy name. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayana. Agham dhunvantika sena niharameva bhaskara. Simply by Vasudeva parayana. Bhaktya towards Vasudeva. Agham dhunvanti. The most serious sin reaction can be dhunvanti, can be washed away. Niharameva bhaskara. Just like fog gets dissipated by the initial rays of the sun, similarly, the cloud of sin can be vanished, disappeared, simply by namabhas, a little chanting of the holy name. Even unintentional chanting of the holy name. And in this way, then he describes the story of Ajamil. How Ajamil was delivered. He was destined to go to hell. He had almost fixed his place in hell. Somehow, by some divine grace, he ended up chanting the name of Narayan at the time of death. That changed the course of his destination, his progress. And then he got a second chance. He went to Haridwar and again got a second chance, and then he perfected his life. So in this way, hell and heaven are described. Arjuna also asked this question. Utsanna kula dharmana manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavati ityani shushruma. Arjuna asked the question, if all these people die in the war, how will the family tradition continue? Which tradition? The tradition of Pindadan and Varnashram. People give Pindadan, Shraddha ceremony they do. When people die, when ancestors, senior people die, then the juniors, the next generation, they have to do Shraddha, Pindadan. But if all the young people are assembled here, and if they die, and the old people are also here, first generation, second and third generation, 5 generations were there at the time. Bhishma was like the eldest generation. Arjuna was like the middle. Bhishma is the next one, and the next is Arjuna's generation, and then his generation next. One more generation. There are 5 generations in the Mahabharata war participating in the war. All are here. If all die, who is going to continue the tradition of Pindadan? And if the dead people do not get Pindadan, Narake niyatam vaso bhavati. I have heard that if you don't offer Pindadan, they are going to go to hell. Who will protect them from going to hell? So therefore, why should I fight this war? That's Arjuna's question. Better not fight. Because once the system breaks, it becomes almost impossible to revive the whole system. If 5 generations are here, how will the system continue? The legacy continue. Therefore, Arjuna gave this as a reason to not fight the war. Of course, Krishna had different answers to fight the war. He said, bigger problem is the establishment of dharma. Pindadan and all can be taken care of. Not such as serious as destruction of dharma itself. Therefore, you should fight. Anyway, but Arjuna asked this question. His concern was Narake niyatam vaso. He didn't say Naraka is simply a conception in the mind. He was convinced people are going to go to hell if Pindadan is not offered. So in this way, we find a lot of description in this section of the Bhagavatam that we are studying now. There is a description, Maitreya Rishi describing heaven and hell, the different sections of the universe, how Brahma is creating all this. So this section will continue in the coming days. Tomorrow is also a very auspicious day. Chidadahi festival, Paniharti's, Raghunath Das Goswami's Chidadahi festival. We'll have a small discussion so that we can prepare for tomorrow. In case you happen to come to temple, you will get to taste Chidadahi and Doodh Dahi. No, Doodh Chida. So Chaitanya Charitamrita Kaviraj Goswami describes in the Antya Leela how Raghunath Das Goswami organized the Chidadahi festival. So Raghunath Das Goswami was born to Hiranya and Govardhan Mujumdar. Hiranya Mujumdar and his uncle Govardhan. No, Govardhan was uncle and Govardhan was father and Hiranya was uncle. And born to a very rich family of landlords, earning millions of gold coins every year. And very rich family, and he was the only son. And he wanted to join Lord Chaitanya's movement. He wanted to give up family life and wanted to surrender to Lord Chaitanya. And he tried to escape many times, run away from home and join Mahaprabhu's mission. But every time he tried to escape, what happened? His parents would catch him, drag him back and put him under house arrest with security guards guarding him. 8 to 10 security guards to protect, to watch over one boy. Look at his condition. We would think, wow, what a facility. 12 people guarding me. But he felt I am under house arrest. Not allowed to go anywhere. So one day Lord Chaitanya, Nityanand Prabhu came to Paniharti. And Raghunath Das Goswami requested his parents, can I go and meet Nityananda Prabhu? So they said, okay. They were not very happy to let him go, but they said, okay. They thought, you don't know what will happen to him. Just like every parent has his concern, if a boy, son or daughter becomes a devotee, they feed it, sadhu ban jayega, chhod dega. That same similar fear they had. So, but they allowed him. ठीक है, you go and meet Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu was staying in Paniharti. And he had his associates, list of associates are given, Uddharan Datta and many others, his confidential followers. And they were sitting on the bank of Ganga. We still have that spot at Paniharti. There is ISKCON temple at Paniharti. There he was sitting and he welcomed. Raghunath Das Goswami went to see him from a distance. Nityananda Prabhu saw him and called him, come here. And he said, you are a thief. You didn't come to me. You are hiding from me. So I want to give you a punishment. What is the punishment? You should organize a feast for everyone here. What is the feast? He gave the menu also. It should be chida dahi and doodh chida. Chida doodh and chida dahi. So he gave the menu. So what did Raghunath Das do? He purchased chida from all the shops and he soaked it in hot milk. Let me confirm. He soaked all the chida in clay pots in hot milk. And then he divided it into two. One half he transferred it to dahi. And then added sugar and bananas. The other half he transferred it into condensed milk, rabdi, and then added camphor, ghee and one special banana, special breed of banana. In this way he made two mixtures. And then he transferred it into small clay pots and gave it to every devotee present in the assembly, including Nityananda Prabhu. And everyone had 2 pots. And they were enjoying. And then the crowd increased. As soon as they got to hear there is a festival, people naturally come without any invitation. And they came. And then Raghunath Das continued supplying. He purchased more chida, more doodh, more condensed milk, dahi. And continuously this mixture was happening and they were supplying. So Chaitanya Charitamrita describes how the number increased such an extent people didn't have space to stand. So they went inside the river, Ganga. Inside the river they were standing submerged inside the water and holding these pots and eating and enjoying. So seeing this scene, Nityananda was very happy. Very happy. And he invited Raghunath and he gave his own Mahaprasad to Raghunath. And he put his feet on his head. We have a big struggle sometimes to get devotees dust of the lotus feet. Nityananda Prabhu voluntarily gave him the dust of his feet and blessed him. And Raghunath Das Goswami prayed, please give me devotion to Lord Chaitanya. Let me join his mission. So Nityananda Prabhu blessed him. Very soon you will be able to fulfill your desires and join Lord Chaitanya. So in this festival, Nityananda Prabhu invited also Lord Chaitanya. Not everyone could see, but he invited Lord Chaitanya by his meditation and Lord Chaitanya came and he also enjoyed the Chidadahi festival. In this way, by Raghunath Das's efforts, who organized the whole festival, he pleased Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya and all his associates. And everyone went happy, having enjoyed this Chidadahi. So that day is tomorrow and you all can meditate upon this pastime And maybe prepare chida dahi at your home, or if you happen to come here, you can taste here chida dahi and enjoy. Raghunath Das Goswami ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.